Evelyn was a single mother. She had finally managed to send her daughter off to college. She never expected that just freshman year, her daughter would look at her and say she was pregnant. She wanted to drop out. Evelyn just calmly replied with a simple nod. She told her to have the baby if she wanted to, but she added that once the baby was born, she would have to raise it herself. In the vast sea of people, she was grateful for the experience. The story began here. Her name was Evelyn. Her husband had died young. She worked 2 jobs entirely on her own, waiting tables during the day, working security at night, grinding away day after day like that. She barely managed to raise her daughter. She finally waited for the day her daughter got accepted into a prestigious university, only to be hit with a college withdrawal form. In her freshman year. Grab something to hold on to. It escalates fast. Mom, I am begging you. I will get on my knees right now. I have to keep this baby. Hailey dramatically dropped to her knees in front of her. Her eyes were brimming with heavy tears. Do you think being a single mom is easy? Do you think you got into that college just for yourself? You were able to study this far because of me and everyone in our hometown who helped us. Do you know how many people wanted an education but never had the resources? Forced to just get married and have kids early. And you got handed all of this. Yet you choose to throw your life away, looking at the daughter she had broken her back to raise. Evelyn's heart was filled with nothing but cold disappointment. Study, study. Who exactly was I studying for? If you had not forced me to hit the books every single day, I never would have wanted to go to school. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is? Waking up at 6 in the morning, going to sleep at 11 at night. If you wanted to be some high-achieving success so badly, you should have gone out and done it yourself. Why did you have to force it on me? I never even wanted to go to college. Just hearing the word study made Hailey completely lose her mind. All the girls back home just got pregnant and had kids like this, and they are perfectly happy. Looking at Hailey's breakdown, Evelyn felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness. She asked if Hailey was truly dead set on having this baby, even if it meant cutting off their relationship as mother and daughter. She told her to think about it clearly. She reminded her that this child would be a fatherless kid. She warned her that in the future, everyone would look at her with pure judgment and look at the child the same way. She asked if she could really handle that. She pointed out that if she dropped out of school, she had to figure out who was going to support this baby. She questioned if Hailey expected her mother to keep breaking her back working, to raise both her and the ominous burden that ruined her daughter's entire future. Mom, no matter what, I am going to have this baby, even if you cut me off. Plus, I can make my own money. I tutored over winter and summer breaks, and I made plenty of cash. From now on, I will raise this kid myself. Hailey screamed at the top of her lungs, but deep down, she already had it all figured out. As long as she held her ground, there was no way her mother would not soften up. Seeing how hard she was struggling, her mother would eventually feel bad for her. Since that was the case, she told her to go ahead and have it. Evelyn coldly dropped that single sentence. Then she headed straight to her workplace. Today she was supposed to take the day off to take her daughter to a clinic. Now it looked like she was going in to hand in her resignation. Standing off to the side, Hailey was still practically glowing with excitement. As far as she was concerned, her mother caving was just a matter of time. Besides, as long as she had this baby, how could Preston deny it? Hailey was already picturing the blissful scene of marrying into Preston's wealthy family. But this time, Hailey was dead wrong. After wrapping up her resignation paperwork and heading home, Evelyn did not say a word to Hailey. She just went straight to packing her bags. Hailey was still sitting on the couch, happily glued to a TV drama, munching on snacks she bought, showing absolutely zero fear or anxiety about an unplanned pregnancy. It was not until 3 o'clock the next afternoon, when Evelyn was dragging her luggage out of Seattle, that she finally got a call from Hailey. Mom, isn't this your lunch break? Why didn't you bring me any food? I'm pregnant right now. It's hard for me to move around. Evelyn let out a bitter scoff, realizing this was the spoiled brat she had raised. Because of the lack of a father figure, she had always given her double the affection. But she never imagined it would turn her into someone who had no idea how to appreciate things or respect herself. She simply stated she was moving back to their hometown. She kept it brief. The voice on the other end of the line instantly pitched up in panic. Mom, why did you go back home out of nowhere? You're not actually still mad at me, are you? I'm literally pregnant right now. Stop making a scene. Evelyn steadied her breathing and spoke slowly. She told her that the baby she was carrying was not hers. She reminded her that she was not carrying her mother's child. She stated that she had to raise her own kid. She noted she had already raised her until she was an adult. She said it was time for her to take care of herself. Hearing her mother's freezing tone, Hailey instantly shifted into a whiny, pleading voice. Mom, I just miss you. We've depended on each other since I was little. We've never been apart. Evelyn replied that now it was time for Hailey and her baby to depend on each other. After saying that, she hung up the phone. She carefully looked up intensive college prep academies in the city. When she was young, she never had the chance to study. Later, after having Hailey, she worked herself to the bone with odd jobs just to raise her. Even if she wanted to read and study, there was zero spare time. But things were different now. After quitting her jobs, she had plenty of time to really hit the books. Hailey had said she should not have forced her to study. She said she should not have forced her down a path she did not want. She had said if Evelyn wanted to go to college, she should do it herself. She was not wrong about that. Why force a daughter? If she hated learning, then so be it. It was better to invest in herself. If she did not know how to value things, she would not be allowed to regret it later. After weighing her options, Evelyn chose a highly reputable Chrysip Academy with excellent teachers. It specialized in adult students who needed to build their foundation from scratch. It was the perfect place for her to learn. The teachers at the academy did not look down on her for coming back to school at her age. Instead, they treated her like a role model for the class. They were incredibly patient, explaining things step by step. Just a few days later, Hailey called again, but this time, the entitled, spoiled attitude was gone. It was replaced with a pathetic, pitiful tone. "Mom, I miss you so much. Mom, I really don't know what to do right now." Hailey dragged out a massive sob story. Evelyn listened patiently. It was not until the very end that Hailey finally mumbled her true intention. "Mom, can you send me my allowance for this month?" So she just wanted money. Now that there was distance between them, Evelyn could increasingly feel the manipulation laced in her daughter's words. She called her name softly. She reminded her that when she brought up cutting ties, she should have realized her mother would always be her mother, but she would no longer be a bank to drain. She asked how someone about to be a mother could still be asking her own mother for an allowance, listening to Evelyn's words. Hailey desperately wanted to say that cutting ties was just talk, but the words caught in her throat. She felt like admitting that would completely destroy her pride. Evelyn gave her a piece of solid advice. She told her if she was out of cash, she needed to go find a job. Hearing that, Hailey's eyes lit up. It was true. She had done plenty of side gigs before and made decent spending money. Now that she had full availability, she could definitely pull in way more cash, right? Hailey quickly ended the call herself. Evelyn was happy to have the peace and quiet. But she did not bother telling her not to celebrate too early. She was pregnant, getting bigger by the day, and had no degree. Her actual skills were practically non-existent. Any recruiter would immediately worry about her taking maternity leave in a few months. They would assume she would need time off right after getting hired, or they would assume she would quit immediately after her leave ended, or she would be calling out sick every other day. There was no way she would even get an interview, but that was her own choice. Adults had to take responsibility for their choices. Every single day at the prep academy, before the sun even came up, Evelyn was awake. She used to get up to bike to work. Now it was to memorize English vocabulary, the 26 letters, uppercase and lowercase, A, B, C, D. She repeated them endlessly. Following an English learning app on her phone, reading aloud and writing them out from memory. The middle school textbooks from back in the day never covered this stuff, so picking it up now was a serious struggle. Morning, Evelyn. Grinding English this early, Evelyn looked at her younger classmate, Leo, and gave a faint smile. She explained that because she was starting from the bottom, she had to work twice as hard just to keep up. She mentioned the teachers said memory retention was best in the morning. She figured getting up earlier meant a few extra hours of memorization. Yeah, you are seriously dedicated. Oh, right. These are the English textbooks I dug up from elementary, middle, and high school. They have all my old notes. If you don't mind them being a bit marked up, you can use them. Evelyn took the massive stack of books, looked at Leo with deep sincerity, and spoke. "Thank you. I promise I will study them carefully." She never expected an classmate she had only known for a few days would help her like this. While the daughter she had broken her back to raise was completely heartless, thankfully, she was able to come here and experience a completely different kind of life. Here, even for the most basic English questions, whenever she asked, the teachers answered with total patience. There was absolutely zero mockery or disgust, even though her learning speed had slowed down with age, and she had to repeat things a dozen times just to make them stick. Every time she mastered a new problem, she felt an indescribable sense of fulfillment, being able to study again without carrying the weight of the world. Maybe she really should thank her daughter's heartless entitlement. Otherwise, she definitely would have caved. After all, that was the daughter she had birthed and raised. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Hailey was wandering the streets, desperately looking for companies, trying to find any job opening. But the second anyone saw her pregnant belly, even pedestrians walking down the street would give her a wide berth, terrified she was looking for an insurance scam. She searched for days, but not a single company was willing to hire her. Right then, a guy on the street, with a sunny, handsome face, grabbed her attention. "Hey, you have a really great look. Do you want to be a model? It pays $350 an hour." Hailey looked at his handsome face and instantly felt a little starstruck. Then she thought about her own looks, which were honestly pretty good. She was known as the prettiest girl in her class, a visibly tempted expression naturally spread across her face. Hailey played shy for a second, then eagerly asked a question. But I'm pregnant. Aren't models supposed to be tall and skinny? Seeing her reaction, the guy quickly, smoothly covered his tracks. Come on. Pregnant women need to buy clothes too. So naturally, we need pregnant models. I rarely see anyone like you, someone who is pregnant but still has so much energy and such a great figure. That is exactly why we want you. Do you want to give it a shot? It's entirely up to you. Here is my contact info. Our studio is right down the street. If you are interested, hit me up. After saying that, he handed Hailey a business card. He gestured to the storefront nearby, then smiled and waved goodbye to her. Hailey looked at the business card in her hand. She was definitely tempted, but still had a tiny sliver of hesitation. She tucked the card into her purse and went back to scouring the streets for work, but after running around all day until her feet were covered in blisters, there was still not a single place willing to hire her. Not even the corner convenience store wanted her. After all, if an accident happened in the shop, a small business could not afford the liability. Hailey could not help but let out a heavy sigh. Then her eyes drifted back to the business card in her bag. She figured there was no harm in just trying. If it did not work out, she did not lose anything. Early the next morning, Hailey uncharacteristically got out of bed early. She put on her nicest outfit and showed up at the studio the guy had pointed out. Hailey, yesterday you looked amazing just wearing casual clothes. Today with your makeup done and that outfit, you are absolutely stunning. Hearing the guy's flattery, Hailey felt even more smug. She figured she really did have the natural talent to be a model. Then, the guy led Hailey to a closed-off room. Inside, there was a whole line of girls waiting. Hailey looked around at the other girls sitting there, whose looks easily rivaled her own. A sudden wave of competitiveness hit her. All right, everyone is here. We are going to shoot your comp cards in a minute, but first, everyone needs to sign a contract. Make sure you read it over carefully. The guy handed a contract to each girl. Hailey dragged her finger line by line, carefully reading the clauses. She noticed a fee of $3,800 just to shoot a comp card. That was incredibly expensive. Could it be a scam? Hailey felt anxious. She only had about 20 grand left from the allowance her mom had given her before. But looking around at the other girls, rapidly scribbling their signatures without hesitation, Hailey started second-guessing her doubts. Whoever signs first can go in and shoot. Once we have your comp cards, we can send them out to brands for casting. The guy was still speaking in that gentle, reassuring tone. The girls next to her were whispering to each other. They said 3,800 was nothing. They could make it back in a day. They just wanted to try it out, saying they really wanted to be models. Hearing the crowd, Hailey could not resist grabbing a pen and forcefully signing her name on the line. Soon, the guy brought Hailey into the back. She shot a full portfolio. By the time she walked out of the studio holding her comp card, Hailey was still in a complete daze. She asked roughly when she would start booking jobs. Just wait for my text, Hailey. For a model as high tier as you, brands are going to be lining up to book you. The guy relentlessly showered her with praise. For the next few days, Hailey, fully convinced she had secured a job, stayed home, relaxing, eating and drinking with zero stress. It was not until 10 days passed, and she still had not heard back from the guy, that she started panicking and called him. She asked how things were going. She asked if any brands wanted to hire her yet. The guy quickly answered in a cheerful voice, I was just about to call you. Congratulations. There is a brand that wants to sign you as a long-term model. We just need to do a test shoot to see how the clothes fit. Hearing that a brand actually wanted to hire her, and as a long-term model no less, Hailey completely ignored the second half of his sentence. After all, if she was a long-term model, the money was basically guaranteed, right? Hailey hung up the phone and excitedly rushed over to the studio. Hailey, this is the owner of the maternity brand. These are all the clothes she brought. The contract is right here. It's entirely up to you if you want it. The guy eagerly pulled Hailey in front of a man, introducing them with a massive grin. Looking at the massive bags full of clothes, Hailey was already completely lost in the fantasy of raking in massive paychecks. She signed the paperwork with a second thought. In just a few minutes, she had handed over another 10 grand in fees, but all she could think about was how she was about to get her first modeling paycheck. You did great. You really know how to pose. Here is your pay for the half-hour shoot. The boss handed Hailey $350. Hailey calculated in her head, making $350 in just half an hour was insanely lucrative. Thinking about that, she immediately dialed a number. She spoke with absolute smugness. Mom, guess what? I got a job. It pays $350 an hour, listening to Hailey's overly confident tone. Evelyn wondered what kind of job paid that much, especially for a college dropout. She asked casually what the job was. Hailey bragged she was a model, making $350 for less than an hour's work. She claimed the boss said she was a natural-born model. She said they were planning a long-term partnership. Evelyn noted it was good she found work, but she told her to be careful. She warned her not to get scammed. She pointed out that a wage that high was usually a huge red flag. "Mom, I am a grown adult. You need to trust my judgment." Evelyn did not say anything else. She had given her warning if she got scammed again. It was just a lesson she had to learn. "Evelyn, come to the cafeteria. They are serving extra portions today. I saved you a carton of milk. It's good for your brain." The faint voices from the background were picked up perfectly by Hailey. "Mom, are you working as a lunch lady at a school? Are you serving food or washing dishes?" Hailey figured if her mom was still working, she still had a safety net. After all, when her mom eventually died, all her money would go to Hailey anyway. Evelyn calmly replied that she was not working. She stated she was prepping for her college entrance exams. On the other end of the line, Hailey completely lost her composure. She panicked, asking why Evelyn was taking the sets at her age. She said she did not want to crush her dreams, but pointed out it took her over a decade of schooling to get into an Ivy League. She noted her mom had barely any education. She asked if she was just signing up to suffer. She added they didn't even have any money. She pointed out that school cost a fortune. She demanded to know where Evelyn was getting the cash. Evelyn replied she was fine. She said she would rather suffer through studying than suffer through dead-end jobs ever again. She also reminded Hailey that she knew she had no money left. She told her from now on never to ask her for cash again. She said she was done talking and going back to study. Evelyn hung up the phone and went right back to aggressively attacking her practice tests, leaving Hailey alone to stew in her annoyance. But soon enough, the thought of making easy money as a model cheered her right back up. It was not until a few days later that Evelyn received a call from the police. If you think a naive college dropout is going to outsmart a seasoned modeling scam, you haven't been paying attention. Part 2 is where reality hits, and it hits hard.